This video reviews how to order fractions, which means how to decide which fraction is smaller or larger than another, and how to add and subtract fractions. And all of these processes require finding a common denominator, so that's why they're all in one video together. So the first question we have here is which fraction is larger, 4/7 or 7/11? And if you estimate it, 4 out of 7, that's a little bit more than a half. Half of 7 is 3.5, so 4 out of 7 is a little bit more than a half. And 7/11, well, let's see, half of 11 is about 5.5, so that's a little bit more than a half also. So it's tough to decide just by looking at the numbers that you're given. The trick is to rewrite each of these, 4/7 and 7/11, rewrite them with a common denominator. So the common denominator of 7 and 11 is 77. So I'm going to rewrite each of these as 77ths. And then to rewrite 4/7 with a denominator of 77, I have to decide what do I multiply 7 by to turn it into 77. And the answer to that is 11. So I'm going to multiply this by 11 and this by 11. So that's going to be 44/77. And then this one over here, to turn the 11 into a 77, I need to multiply by 7. So that one's 49/77. So this second fraction here is larger. And 49/77 came from 7/11. So 7/11 is larger. Here's a second question involving comparing the size of fractions. We've got 3/8 as a size of a drill bit, 1/4, and 5/16. So let me write them down. 3/8, 1/4, and 5/16. If I look at all three of those fractions and I think about what the common denominator is, I think the common denominator for all of them is 16. This last one here, 5/16, that's already 16th, so I'll leave that the same. This first fraction, 3/8, let's see, to turn an 8 into a 16, I need to multiply by 2, so that's 6/16. And the 1/4, to turn the 4 into a 16, I have to multiply by 4, so that's 4/16. So I've got 6/16, 4/16, and 5/16. So the largest is this one right here, which is 3/8. And the smallest is this one right here, 4/16, which came from 1/4. Okay, the last two examples here are how to add fractions. Again, to add and subtract fractions, we need to have a common denominator. So what I'm going to do in each of these is convert the 7 and the 3 to a common denominator. So the common denominator of 7 and 3 is 21. And in order to convert a 7 to a 21, I have to introduce a multiplier of 3. And remember, you have to do that in the numerator and the denominator. So this is 12/21. 1/3, to convert that 3 to a 21, I need to multiply by 7. So that's 7/21. And once you have a common denominator, you leave that denominator alone and you just add the numerators. So 12 plus 7 is 19. Now, typically what you would do is look to see if you can simplify that. Is there any number that will divide into both 19 and 21? And since there's not, we'll just stop there and say that 4/7 plus 1/3 is 19/21. The last one here involves mixed numbers. There are different ways to add and subtract mixed numbers. The method I'm going to show you here is to convert everything to an improper fraction first. So 2 and 2/5, if I convert that to an improper fraction, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. Leave the denominator the same. The second mixed number here, 1 and 1/2. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Leave the denominator the same. And then the last one's just a proper fraction, so we don't need to convert that. Now I've got three denominators, 5, 2, and 3, and I'm looking to convert them to a common denominator. So I'm looking for a number that all three of those will divide into. If we just had the 5 and the 2, the common denominator would be 10. We also have this 3 over here, so the common denominator of 10 and 3 is 30. So I'm going to convert all of these to 30ths. Now I'm going to go back and decide how to convert all of these to 30ths. So this first one here, to convert a 5 to a 30, I need to multiply by 6. So this first one becomes 72 30ths. To convert a 2 to a 30, I have to multiply by 15. Again, notice I'm putting the factor in the numerator and the denominator, so that's 45. And then to convert a 3 to a 30, I have to multiply by 10. So I end up with 72 30ths minus 45 30ths plus 10 30ths. So I know my answer is going to be 30ths. I just need to figure out what 72 minus 45 plus 10 is, and make sure you go left to right here. So 72 minus 45 that's going to be 27, plus 10 is going to be 37. So this is 37 30ths, and you can either leave it that way, or if you want to rewrite that as an improper fraction, 30 divides into 37 one time with 7 left over. So either of those answers is fine. Just remember, to add and subtract fractions, or to decide which is larger, you need to have a common denominator.